has to actually learn anyone else's language if they didn't want to, although they were probably very good at learning the language anyway, because they're also subject to educational processes that are as advanced as, simple web browsing stuff that we've already got now, So, if we wanted to keep that diversity, ironically, of language as well as culture, you really would move to a system that, ironically, is not centralized, but it's bound up, like it's tied together. It's not, it doesn't work. That's actually rubbish. That's why Brasilia wasn't a good planned system, right? You have to to get anywhere, you have to go through the middle. That's the opposite of what it needs to be. That's why Frisco cities are, some of them, round, right? That's the logic behind it, not because it looks nice. It's because that's the easiest way to travel and move around something.
Yeah.
The same thing will be with language.
Yeah, it's like the line from Capex where Prote says, "Why is a soap bubble round? Because it's the most energy efficient distribution shape."
It's very good.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that. I need to.
It's very interesting. The film itself, because Capex is actually the book Capex that Gene Brewer wrote is a trilogy. And the film that was made only tells the first story.
Are they going to make another one?
I'm really hoping that they do, because it will be fantastic. Because I've read through the whole book, and at the end of one of my podcasts, I think it was at the end of the Global show that I hosted, even though it's now on the TalkShoe page and the only one that has.
Yeah, you were caught up in a wobble where we were trying to move from blog.
Yeah, because the thing is, considering the amount of tentative feedback I got about that, I'm pleased it wasn't on the Blog Talk page, because it was.
We could have always gone up and re-uploaded it with the song that guy sings. La 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 la. That's ridiculous. That's the opposite. So listen, that stuff has to remain.
Yeah.
But what was it? Oh yeah, but we did copy your idea though, man. Well, what's that? The show.
Yeah.
Copied your idea by posting on YouTube as well. Which I think
but yeah, what was I saying? But yeah, I basically read because while the character Pro is on Earth, he writes a report for the other people on the planet Capex, like his summary of Earth and life on Earth and like our destiny sort of thing. I read out the Pro's report at the end of it, and it's very, very, very accurate. It's scarily accurate. And when you read, because I was asking a couple of friends who have also read Capex, and I asked them, should I read Pro's report at the end of the first story, because that's when he writes the report and finishes the report, or should I wait till the very end of the book and then read it? And they're like, no, wait till the end, mate. So I was just like, on 10 hooks till the end, and I read it, and I'm just like, I have to read that out at some point for one of my podcasts. I have to, because it's just so poignant, or poignant, however that's pronounced. But no, but yeah, I think, oh crikey, we're time's getting on. We really need to move quickly through this now.
Let's crack on.
But yeah,
let's combine two of them, man, because we're going to talk about human relationships and culture.
Yeah.
Listen, we've sort of talked about this already. It's sort of becoming evident through what we've just discussed as the effect of this economy. The center of it is, of course, peace and harmony. That's the whole point of it, right? And I don't think anybody's anti that stuff. So that stuff will be sort of standard. That'll be the baseline for everything. There'll be a level of understanding that when there are problems, or when there are conflicts, which we can talk a little bit about later as well, these are going to be resolved in ways that are beneficial to the human beings as well as to the process or whatever's going on that has caused it.
Yeah.
And that's going to make, I think, human relationships very, very positive. We can't guess too much about how people will group up and live their lives if we're talking about partners and stuff. Yeah. We don't really know about that, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't change anything. You could have 54-person marriages. I don't know. That's probably not going to happen, right? But there are people who already live alternative lifestyles. It doesn't matter, it doesn't even form a part of what needs to be understood about the future. It is what it is, and it'll be different worldwide. I don't think it'll be the same either. It'll be different from, my goodness, probably village to village.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that I've spoken to Douglas Millett about, because I asked him, in a resource-based economy, because culturally, we're shifting away from the notions of property, and because we've integrated the notions of property into our human relationship, like our intimate relationships, because we don't consider our wives, boyfriends, husbands, girlfriend, wife, whichever, because we wouldn't consider them property anymore. Would that mean that monogamy would go away? Yeah. And Doug said something very, 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 very good. He said that basically human relationships will have the same influences towards either monogamy or polygamy, just like it would be today. It's just because we don't consider our spouses our property anymore doesn't necessarily mean that monogamy goes away, because there's certain gravitations through our conditioning and our experiences to want to live a monogamous life, and then there's others towards the other end of the spectrum, and everything in between. So yeah, it will be whatever it will be.
Exactly. But I mean, we can make some surmised suggestions about, how it's going to be in terms of the general tone of a relationship, in terms of people to people. Yeah. I think because it'll be very cooperative. I think it's about as much as we can say, is that if you are talking about optimization, if you're talking about common good, you are automatically talking about groups of people. And so you will see a lot of people working together. But I don't think I can extend it more than that. Other than to say that maybe models like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, that are sort of Kickstarter project pages for individual projects, if you like, that people need money for in this society. We might have similar things in the future about what social projects we want to do. Like people say, listen, is anybody up for example, I don't know, reconstructing something manually, like in terms of some cultural artifact, or maybe getting together to perform something, or there's some project that, very much like we have now, writing a book, for example. It's just that you wouldn't need to rely on having money submitted. It's people's time and people's involvement that would ultimately generate the project. I think those might exist as well, because they do now, and they reinforce the good stuff. It's not just about the money with them, Yeah. It's about, creating some culture that can be crowdsourced, if you like. Yeah, so I think that'll carry on, but in a different form, in a non-monetary form.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing that I have thought about lately. It's one of the things that myself personally I've been trying to move away from is the idea of jealousy in our personal relationships. And one of the things that I'm fully aware of, I'm sure you're probably fully aware of as well, is how damaging, negative and destructive the idea of ownership ideas in our relationship, causing jealousy and therefore also heartbreak is in our current society. And there was something that Jacques Fresco said once about the idea that, if, say, for example, if in a resource-based economy, we would most probably be of the persuasion that, if, say, for example, if you came in one day and your wife was sleeping with another man, you wouldn't fly into a fit of rage. You'd be like, okay, I accept this. This isn't working out anymore. And the relationship is no more. And, at first I thought, that's a pretty cold way to consider it, but it's just so much more optimal. It does jar a lot, because the very ownership ideals and the jealousy notions are so deeply embedded in us that it's extremely hard to outgrow. Yeah. It's extremely hard to think, like Jamie, for example. It's hard to not consider her almost a part of me. And right. If she were to decide to go, then I would, it's hard to consider myself still a whole person without her.
And it's standing right there, by the
way. No. She's still playing Skyrim. So
excellent. It's a wonderful thing to hear, and this makes sense, doesn't it? It's the ultimate extensionality. Is saying not only am I like you. I am you, and you are me.
Mm.
And I think you can, some people can have that with more than one person, I'd imagine. I think they seem to, and all the rest of it. So, I think that stuff will grow. Yeah, absolutely. There'll still be stresses. There'll still be difficulties.
But they're all kinks that can be worked out.
Exactly. And, let's face it, there's a certain degree of guaranteed pain to human life. There is. Absolutely. In the sense that we will all lose somebody. We will all lose everybody. Let's admit it. That lends a certain sad aspect to even the most improved life. But guess what, man? Isn't that what gives life value? Is the fact that it doesn't just go on forever and it's just the same. Once you're alive, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what scarcity is about originally? Is that actually that means that we need to be even more engaged about this human life that we are now living and that we'll probably never live again.
Yeah, it's like the notion variety is the spice of life.
Exactly.
Yeah. So onto the next issue, culture. Now I know you.
I think I combine that really. That is the general culture, is the way that people behave. It gets away from things like, I've tried to deal with art in a resource-based economy before, but that really is only a thought exercise in technology. It's not to do with what people might be into or the kinds of art that might evolve that I totally can't account for. So I can't really extend that too much, but it'll certainly be very interesting.
Yeah. But also I'd say the one thing that does, would embed itself a lot is the total symbiosis that we all have. That it wouldn't necessarily just be, as far as I can see it, there will be like sort of regional cultures, but also there will be this global culture because of this awareness of the symbiosis that we all share. There will be, it's almost like there's regional languages, like regional dialects, and then there's like national languages. There will be, it's like that, but in the culture context. Because people recognize the symbiosis, there will be a symbiotic, there will be a global culture, as it were.
Right. There's a certain level of guaranteed culture in the sense of knowing how things work, orientated to even things like stoplights. We can start with that, but all the way up from the understandings of, the everyday culture to knowing that if you just decided to go tomorrow to, I don't know, Poland or Scandinavia somewhere or Finland or, anywhere like just Africa, that you could just go now.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you get there, things are going to be all right and you will be understood and you'll be able to understand. But there might be loads of different stuff. In fact, it better be different, because I think that's what we find interesting, is like we said.
Absolutely.
So, but the symbiosis is essentially the ability for free movement, isn't it? That's really part of it anyway. Of course, it also links in with the symbiotic nature and the cohesive nature, actually, because we're talking about cohesion too in a minute, is with, of course, your environment as well. There won't be, waste parts of town, for example. We actually live in cities now where there are areas that are empty, right? It's just kind of, we used to have it in the inner cities, right? As the donut went outwards. This kind of stuff is, ridiculous. What a waste of resources that we let it look like that. Much easier to solve the homeless problem the easy way in the short term and give them access to any unoccupied building. Including I don't know, some of the castles that are around. No one lives in them. Why not? If you're, oh no, sorry to hear you're homeless. No, dude, I live in a castle. It's awesome. Why is it not like that? This is also a good point about symbiosis, is that at the moment in our society, we have a very interesting propensity that we haven't really noticed, which is that essentially, and it seems obvious when you say it, but poor people get the cool innovations last. The really ones that matter. And I'm not talking about flat screens that have been forced on everyone, basically. Everyone's got them now. But in terms of like the stuff that they now get is the stuff that used to be high tech, right? And that's now defaulted to them. In a society that's truly cohesive, that's truly non-stratified in any unnecessary way, which is pure, class divisions and all that stuff. Anything that's got a symbiotic nature that understands if you're okay, I'm okay because I'm you. Back to that relationship point. in that level of things, in a society that's non-stratified in that way, you would see what you would if you could possibly consider anybody